welcome to Scale Car Garage and part 5 of taking a die-cast model and making it into a slot car. Now, I guess you've seen this pile of silicone behind me. These are the molds for our car. It's a truck. It's a Ford F100. And as you can tell, and I know I sound like a broken record, you don't realize how many parts there are to one of these things until you take it apart and start making molds. And there are lots of molds. Lots. So what we're going to do is, well, let's pour some resin here at Scale Car Garage. Well, as you can see, our molds are done, and I think they turned out pretty well, but truth is, you really don't know how they're going to perform until you start pouring resin, and that's what we have to do. Now, if you look at my lovely workbench here, I have some tidying up to do, because what I want to do is I want to take this side of the workbench and set up resin pouring, and leave this side of the workbench for silicone mold making. I still have some other molds to make for some other projects. I won't bore you with them, although they might make a neat episode in the future. Anyway, rather than getting into the details of resin pouring, I'm going to do two things. Number one, tidy up this disorganized mess so that we have room to work. And two, just as I did for pouring the silicone, I'm going to do a sort of like a montage-y Keystone Cops thing again for pouring resin. Because if you want to see a really detailed method or account of how I pour resin, I'll put the URL to those, to actually the playlist, if you like, in the description of this episode, so you can take a look. But I'm not going to bore you with my tidying. You don't want me, you don't need me hear me screaming in agony because of my lack of organizational skills. But I guess when next we meet, I will be pouring some resin, and we'll take it from there. The first step is to tidy up the right side of the workbench and make some space to get casting. Now to mix the resin. I first place the more viscous part B in my mixing vessel, in this case a clear plastic cup. Once the desired amount is placed in the cup, I add some dark tint, which allows for a better assessment of how well the mold is working. Then, an equal amount of the less viscous part A is added to part B with tint, and it's all mixed together. Then, using a pipette, the resin is put into one half of the mold, with the other half then inserted into it. This is then placed in a pressure pot, which is then filled with pressurized air to 20 psi and allowed to cure for 25 minutes. Once removed from the pressure pot, the two halves of the mold are separated and the parts are ready to be assessed. All right, so we've done a couple of pours here. I want to show you basically why the first pour is, well, interesting. You might want to call it sacrificial, although I don't know if that's a really accurate description. But let me show you what the very first pour looked like. And I don't know if you can see that, but we're missing a few, or a little bit of the fender here, and that was because I did not put enough resin in the mold. So of course the mold is upside down, so as it fills up, well, there wasn't enough resin. And the same thing happened with the first pour of the rear bed. If you look at the fenders, you see they're rather flimsy, and well, looks like it didn't really come together there. Now, you could just, say, well, isn't that wonderful? And even on the hood, there's a little bit of a, you see there's some holes, bubbles there because of the way that the mold fit together. And this is what happens with the first pour. But you learn so much about the mold. Now, I'm not going to throw these away. And let me tell you why. Because I think this would make a really cool looking derelict truck. To my eye, and please correct me if I'm wrong, to my eye, this, lack of resin in the mold, I think very much by accident, created, something that would look like a truck that's been sitting out and rusting, decaying. I think that looks I think it'll look really cool, especially if you get, I've got a chassis that I did, and you put this on the chassis, and the chassis, of course, gives it, the rigidity it needs, and that looks, looks so bad it's good. And the same thing with the front here. Now, let me just put this together and maybe just quickly show you what this could look like. Oh, check this out. I mean, look at this. Look. See, look, you've got, it could be a rusted fender in the front. Oh, rusted fender in the front here. In the rear, I mean, this is nice and, oh, look at that. I mean, that's exactly, well, I think we can make something very cool out of this, so I'm not going to dispose of it. Now, that being said, I did some additional pulls, of course, learning how much resin to put in the mold and all that good stuff. And as you can see, the cab, I had a demolding issue, but, I don't think I'm going to throw it away. I think I can still make something out of this. And then I had a good pull. Look at that. Very good. And another good pull. So we're getting some good pulls. And again, this is the first door pull, and it's a bit, as you can see, I didn't put the mold halves together as well as perhaps I should have. So this is a bit thick, but again, it'd be perfect for the derelict truck that I think we're going to make. Now, that being said, I've gone back, I kept pouring and pouring and pouring, and boy, you know what? The molds are working quite nicely. Here's a really good pull. I think this was like number 2 or number 3. There's the cab. Yeah, it's really nice, and you can really tell when you put the right amount of resin and you put the molds in together. You get this where we blocked out. Remember when we were making the molds, and it's very thin, very papery, so you know the mold is working. And so we have all the other parts. We have, here's the bed. Look at how nicely that turned out. And again, you can see how these papery, what's a really good way to, oh, here we go. Take some tweezers like this and just lift it off. While it's on the mold, it's the easiest way to get the flash off. And this is really nice thin flash, and you can see how that's coming off. Look at that. Look at that. It's just lovely. Just lovely. I'm really pleased with this mold. The rear bed mold is a really happy mold. It just does a lovely job. Oh, sorry, I was in the middle of taking off flash. I got so excited. But you can see, so, you know, we've got a good pull here. Ah, lovely. So we've got the rear bed, as I said. Sorry, I didn't mean to get all Seuss on you there. There's the hood. Look at how lovely that pull is. I mean, that's the way it came out of the mold, folks. The molds are really cooking. Oops, excuse me. Let me just, here we go. Here is the tailgate. Oh, you know, a little bit of flash on top, but you see it says Ford. I mean, that is so cool. That is really cool. So now that we've got, I've done, oh, I should mention that I've done repulls of all the parts, so we can get at least one truck. And that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to put a truck together using the good parts, and then we'll maybe have some fun and see if we can put a derelict truck together too and see what we can do with it. Anyway, let me put it together and we'll see how all this goes together. Well, here it is. Now, admittedly, I haven't got all the parts on, but son of a gun, look at this. The tailgate works. Isn't that awesome? And even clicks in the way it's supposed to. Very pleased with that. The doors, well, yes, they swing open. Needs a bit of work, but I put the interior in. Wow. See the interior in there. So the doors do open and close. I just put the front grille in and the front bumper. And of course the, oh yeah, look at that. The hood opens up. I didn't put the, I guess, engine tray or part in, but I do have it actually. It's, where did I put it? Oh, of course. It's right here. So this would go in, and then the engine detail goes on here. A lot of the little bits I didn't put in, like the badging, the side view mirror I didn't put in, or the tail lights. Oh, the rear bumper is here. In my haste to put this together, I neglected to put the rear bumper on. But you know, even the front bumper, you take the front bumper off, and that looks kind of cool, doesn't it? So you could do like a hot rod version, just fill in the holes, and oh yeah, really, really cool. And I didn't put any wheels on yet. But what I really wanted to look at was, where could we put the motor for this now soon-to-be slot car? And you're going to think I'm a little crazy, but I think there's well, let me just open the door and I can show you. There's a lot of room here under the seat, right here. So from about here to where the bed is, you probably get an S-can in there. But that would be a great place to put the motor, right in the middle of the vehicle. And that way you could also still have the detail of the engine compartment. I think that's a great idea, actually, because there's certainly a lot of space. Maybe even make it close enough that you wouldn't even have to have any sort of drive shaft. Maybe the motor could go, well, we still want a full bed. And it is nice to have a full bed. So it would have to be from the bed forward. We might need a little drive shaft. That's worst case scenario. But I think we've got a really good idea where to put the motor. I think that's a great spot to put the motor. Ah, my goodness. So there it is, folks. Next step is, well, get a chassis under this thing. But oh my gosh, this is so cool. The next step is to design and fabricate the chassis to complete this project here at Scale Car Garage. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe.